Welcome back to In Their Own Words. I'm your host, Kimon Kotos, and I'm here with David Walks' Bear. He's an author and game warden and local member of the Muskegon community. Although you actually live now in Hart, I understand.
I do, yeah.
So I want to give credit out to the folks in Oceana County. So David, let's talk a little bit about what inspires you as a writer, or for even future writers out there, how important it is to get to the essence of being able to still your mind so you can just creatively express what's on your mind.
What I tell folks, anytime that a two-legged asks me, well, how do you get into this, or how do you do this? It's basically a desire. You have to want to do it more than anything else. And then you have to accept the fact that that's all that may become of it, is that you want to do it. It's no different than anything else in life. I mean, it should be something that you want to do and that you're interested in doing it just for that reason, not for praise and fame or glory, because 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10, that doesn't happen. So most authors, seldom if ever, and there are some great stories, some phenomenal stories, some wonderful stories that are out there that folks will never ever hear about, because it just doesn't work that way. Even if they wrote the whole thing and went through the whole process and did everything they were supposed to do, it just doesn't work that way. It's a game like any other kind of thing.
Well, I've heard famous authors say that if you want to write, write.
That's right.
You know, and some people write early in the morning. You mentioned you used to write later at night. And as you mentioned, you're writing as we're speaking.
I can, if I didn't have anything else to do right now, sir, no joke, I could sit down and pick up right where the story's at in my head. For me, I can do that anytime, and everybody's different like that. But I could do that at any point in time. But it really is something that you do just for you. And then if anybody else likes it, that's great. That's just icing on the cake. Mm-hmm. But you need to do it for you and accept the fact that that's what you're doing it for, not so you can be an author.
Well, we've had, these celebrated books that have been co-authored or ghostwritten by other people.
Yeah.
But, I think they lose their authenticity. And ideally, we want to understand who the person that's writing the book, or get to the essence of the meat of the story. Mm-hmm. So part of my curiosity is, how much has your real world experience in nature and in your other life experience even as a father, how has that affected your writing in terms of your...
Totally. It's all inclusive. It's everything else all together. It's all part and parcel. There's no two ways around it. I mean, it's infused to the point that you really I can't tell the difference between one and the other. And I've never done a lot of the things that Eli Stone's done, but then he's never done some of the things that I've done either. But predominantly, I mean, the experiences that he has, I get that from a lot of folks that read these dumb books. They'll say, well, I feel just like, you talk just like we do. I said, well, other than I may stutter more, I do talk like you do. So you get that kind of a thing. I mean, sometimes I go into too much detail with, if I'm driving down a road and I see somebody doing something, and I'm sure everybody gets irritated like this, okay, but if you're driving down a road, you see something, well, when I've got Eli Stone, he's driving down the road and he's thinking about something and somebody pulls in front of him, that thought flashes through his mind. Editors don't like it when you do that, because it takes up ink and it takes up space. Mm-hmm. These are all things that you learn as you go down the road. But the bottom line is that I have to do it for me and how it sounds good to me. It's like when I was talking about when I was a kid, sitting up and writing. So I can, for me, I can tell the dumb story any place, anytime. But everybody does have a different process, and you really have to be doing this for you. And if you are doing it for you, then you'll find the time for it.
And people will probably see that. It'll pop off the page.
Yeah.
Well, if I can, let's explore a little bit about your family. Your wife, Maureen, you mentioned you've been together a long time. Can you tell us a little bit about the inspiration from your family, or how that interplays with your ability to concentrate and focus on your work?
Yeah. Well, 35 years, that's a long time. State cops get out after 25. Did you know that? I'm just goofing. But anyway, so totally. I mean, not only from a support point of view, but also from life experience too. So Eli Stone's not married and doesn't have any kids, but he does deal with women, so you've got that going on. And everything else that's intermixed within that I guess you'd call it dynamic, it's no different than my life in a lot of ways, and then no different than your life in a lot of ways, because as two-leggeds, we're all pretty much the same. I mean, everybody's putting their pants on the same way. Some folks may pretend or like to say that they do it differently, but the bottom line is we're all pretty much the same. And for me, when I write, I try to make sure that everybody can get that kind of an understanding. I'm not doing that purposefully. I'm just saying that as I write, I'm going to write it the way that I see it. which means that it's purposefully, I guess, because it comes out the same. In other words, if you actually think that when somebody pulls out in front of you, or if you actually think that that bird is unique looking, or the sky is really this pretty today, and it doesn't have to be a whole bunch of flowery words. You can just say that the sky is pretty today, but make that comment because it would go through your head. Editors, like I said, don't like that because it takes ink up and it gets away from we're supposed to have a story going here, action and all those kinds of things.
Well, I was initially going after in terms of, do you talk to your wife about what you're writing, or is it really kind of a solo thing? And what role has your wife played in your life?
But what I was just talking about is all of those experiences are part and parcel of it. So she's inspirational in the sense that that I wouldn't want to do it if I didn't have her. So that's enough there, I guess. As far as that goes, it's the same with my kids, though. It's the same with my neighbors, the same with my friends, the same with the dog, the same with the cat, the same with the squirrels, the same with the chickens, the same. I mean, it's all inspirational to me. And I guess as far as the support is concerned, she edits my books. She goes through and we go back and forth with this. They wouldn't say that, but she has a very definitive line. Good Catholic school, education. She knows exactly. And you've been listening to me talk here for a while now, so you know that I don't talk well and I don't talk right. I mean, my jargon is mixed with. I got Indian crap thrown in there, and I got Southern crap thrown in there, and I got Midwest crap thrown in there, and then I don't talk well to begin with. So she's able to sort through all those things, but because we know each other so well, she knows who I am and she knows who the character is, and she's read all this stuff, so she's unbelievably helpful to me. But the kids are the same way. My aunts, my uncles, Amos Red Deer, who is the tribal holy man, is my uncle, these kinds of things. So very important to me. I didn't mean to.
No, that's good. I'm glad you illuminated on that. One of the things I wanted to touch on is the creative process. You mentioned that people see things, whether it's in traffic or they see birds. We see a lot of symbolic things that happen in our life, and we want to kind of get a glimpse of that magic, and sometimes I think some people wonder whether everything's already defined for us and we're just a witness there, or is that as an author or a creative person, is that part of your stillness, is being able to, if not be one with it, be able to take notice of the things that happen in your life as life goes by?
Yeah, absolutely, and do it from a purely common standard model 302 two-legged point of view. That means that you don't have to get into
elaborate.
You don't have to have flowery language, and you don't have to have long sentences or anything. I mean, you can just comment on what it is, because in your mind, in your rational mind, on a daily basis, you do that. And I think that's what folks seem to find entertaining, or at least enjoyable about the books, is that they relate to them as part of their life or what they would do. And that's what I get more from people than anything else, is that this is a lot like I see it, or it's a lot like, well, it's really not any different than anybody else sees it. It's just that folks don't know that.
Well, you wonder what makes up a good story. I mean, obviously there's the subject and the place it takes place in this fact, but also, developing dialogue. Was that a challenge for you in terms of trying to write dialogue?
Yeah, no, unfortunately, no, it wasn't a challenge at all. Probably would be good if it was a challenge, but no, I don't have any problem with dialogue. I don't have any problem. I love the research. I get into the research big time, so that's one of the most important things that I can do.